Good evening, everyone. Sorry my video is a little late. It's been a very, very long day. And I've only just finished having something to eat. Let's wait a couple of minutes till we've got some people on so I don't have to repeat myself. I wanted to give an update on last night's video. Oh, it's freezing cold and wet out tonight. Honestly, it's not spring weather tonight. We're just waiting for a few more to come on. Hope everyone's enjoying their evening. We've just got home. It's been a very, very busy couple of days out on the streets. Last couple of days. We've had new people come in, new people go out again, new people come in. And I wanted to give you an update on, I don't know, hopefully everybody watched the video that I posted last night about the poor guy we were helping on the street, the alcoholic guy that we needed to get off the street. We have been working on this all day. Lobbying and advocacy is a full-time job. It never stops. We finally got something to report tonight, and then I also wanted to talk to you about somebody else as well. But what happened today was the Modbury Hospital, the ambulance did pick up the gentleman that I ordered the ambulance for last night, about 11:30 last night, which was wonderful of them. Today, I'm just doing a video now, Chloe, to let people know what's going on, what a follow-on from last night's video. The ambulance did come last night and pick him up and take him back to the Modbury Hospital, and I'm very, very grateful to them for doing that. And the Modbury Hospital discharged him again this morning. And I was horrified by that, because as far as I'm concerned, that's a lack of duty of care. Discharging and telling somebody that needs medical care and has been in hospital and is obviously very unwell and being told, we can't have you here, you need to go, and put him out again is not okay. And it explains and leads you to wonder what a terrible mess our hospital system is in. Because this lack of compassion is not something that we will usually encounter, surely, in our hospital system, where we turf people out on the street that are in need, and he felt like a discarded piece of trash. That's what he felt like, because the Modbury Hospital said, no, you can't stay here. You need to go. So I hit the phones and I rang a couple of our local politicians. Now, it's a long weekend. They were spending time with their families, and they are Blair Boyer and Rhiannon Pearce. And those two people jumped into action straight away and gave up time out of their busy weekend and lovely weekend away with family or whatever they're doing to help this man. I'll tell you what, I've got the biggest amount of respect for these two politicians. They are first-class human beings, and they really went into action, and they contacted Anwar, and Anwar jumped into action. Everybody helped and came forward to help this man. It was really, really, really heartwarming and wonderful to see. And we ended up having to get hold of Homeless Connect, because that was one pathway that we had to go through, being a long weekend. Homeless Connect weren't that helpful, to be honest with you. They asked him a lot of questions that he wasn't capable of answering because he has dementia, alcohol-induced dementia. So he got very confused. He didn't understand the questions they were asking. He needed advocacy, which I was there to do for him, but they didn't want to talk to me. They wanted to talk to him, knowing full well that he was unable to really advocate for himself and answer some of these questions, and he got confused and didn't really understand what they were saying. So there was a real breakdown in the system there. And we finally got organised with them, and they said, because originally they said, somebody said, maybe we can get them to pay for a few nights in a hotel for the long weekend so that he's at least off the streets. And then Anwar can take over on Tuesday, and when their staff's back on board, and find him something to go from there. So this is what our plan was, Anwar's plan, which I'm so grateful to them for. They really stepped up to the plate this weekend, so thank you, Anwar. And thank you so much to Rhiannon Pearce and Blair Boyer. I have so much admiration for you two superstars. You are such good, kind, wonderful people, and we're really lucky to have you as our MPs, and so lucky that we can call on you when we need you, and you're there. But anyway, Homeless Connect decided that the only thing that this man that they would send him to was the Sober Up unit in the city. And when we mentioned that to him, the fear in his face and the panic was enough for me. He said, no, I can't go there. He said, I've got trauma from that place. He said, it's a terrible place. And I was talking to another homeless guy tonight, and he said, they call it the drunk tank or the drink tank or something. He said, it's not a nice place. He said, a lot of people just won't go there. And I said to him, well, I don't expect you to go to a place or force you to go to a place you don't want to go to. And Anwar tried their hardest to but they can't do much till Tuesday. And then they will help him Tuesday, which was brilliant. But unfortunately, with a long weekend, it was really hard, and there's no way Teresa and I were going to let this guy be on the streets for the next couple of nights. So my dear friend Teresa paid for him to go to a hotel for 2 nights. So we dropped him off to the hotel tonight. We grabbed all his stuff. He's safe. Just as it started raining, so he's going to have a nice hot shower. He's going to sleep for a couple of days and gather his thoughts, and he was happy and chatting with us tonight, and the most alert and relaxed and happy I've seen him. And so he's off the streets and safe until Tuesday, till we can get Anwar. So we were, Teresa was happy to pay for that for our own peace of mind. We couldn't leave him on the streets. Do you know there was kids throwing eggs at him? And I'm telling you now, people need to find out where their kids are. The amount of youth that were out on the streets hanging around the plaza the last few nights was absolutely astounding. It shocked the hell out of me. I didn't realise there were so many people just walking the streets getting up to mischief and picking on homeless people. It's absolutely appalling. So we couldn't leave him there. We didn't think that he would be in danger staying there. So the good news is, these people rallied around. We couldn't get the result we wanted, but it wasn't for lack of trying. It gave us another insight into where the system's not working, because not one size fits all. You can't bully people and say you need to go here or you're not going anywhere. There needs to be options for people, because everybody's got different needs. So it really opened our eyes to more gaps in the system that need to be fixed. And I think going forward, I really do believe that this government is looking to change the system and wanting to change the system to the better, and hopefully they'll work with people like me who are out there and know what needs to be done, and we can hopefully start getting some things done for homeless people, because, I'm just so disappointed in the Modbury Hospital. I mean, I can understand that they're, filled to capacity and they're under pressure and everything else, and he might not be as urgent a case as some. I understand that, but to me it's just inhumane to throw somebody back out on the street that's got nowhere to, when they're homeless, they've got nowhere to go and they're sick and they need help, just to toss them out again. I mean, surely there was one facility in Adelaide, one ward, or one even dementia ward or a mental health unit or something where they could have put this guy. But unfortunately, within the system, you get social workers or staff that ask people these questions, And some of these people are not capable of actually understanding or being able to advocate for themselves or be able to answer these questions. They just shut down because it gets all too difficult for them and too overwhelming for them, especially if you've got alcohol-induced dementia. You just don't understand and not capable of advocating and helping yourself. And, knowing that he had two people that actually cared and that helped him over the last few days has really given a lift to his spirits, because he said not a lot of people in the system care. All the people that work in these facilities and these organisations, very few of them actually care. It's like they just do their job, get paid, but there's no real compassion involved at the same time, and no follow through, and no one to actually say, look, I really care, I'm going to see you through this. And a lot of the time they give them treatment and then put them back out. Now, this particular gentleman actually needs lifelong care and a facility that he can go to, even an aged care facility or somewhere where there's medical staff, and he's going to need assistance for the rest of his life. You can't just sober them up and toss them back out on the street, because they go straight back to what they knew, the only thing that they know how to do, because no one's provided them with the opportunity to follow through and care for the rest of their days that they are going to need. So it just opens my eyes to so many things that are not working within these systems that we need to improve on, and people are just not getting the help that they deserve because of these gaps in the system. But anyway, tonight, I'm pleased to say that he is in a hotel for the next couple of nights till Anwar Takeover Tuesday. Hopefully they will come up with a longer-term alternative. They're very keen to help this man, which is fantastic. And thank you so much to our two politicians, Rhiannon and Blair. You guys are just amazing, and I so appreciate everything that you do for our community, and you're always there when we need you. And I can't thank you enough. Now, there is another case that I wanted to talk to you about, because we need to talk about these things because a lot of these things are hidden and no one talks about them. So people don't know what's going out there on the streets. And I think that needs to change, because as a community, if we're going to have change, we need to have people talking about what's going on. We need to have people being compassionate. We need to have people informed on what's happening, so that you know what's happening out there on the streets. There's a whole different world out there on the streets. But anyway, there was a young lady that I came across about 18 months ago now, that I've been supporting all this time, and lives in a tent in the Modbury region. And when she started out 18 months ago, she was quite a healthy woman, but didn't belong in the type of woman that did not belong on the streets at all. Shouldn't have been there. So I begged the government to give her a house. I said, this woman should not be on the street. We need something for her straight away. She's not going to cope with life on the street. On 3 separate occasions, I went to the minister's staff, and I said, please give this lady a house. At one stage, she was on the street sleeping in tents next to very dangerous criminals, and she was ringing the police on them all the time because she was scared, and they didn't appreciate that. So I knew that her life was in danger. And I said, if you don't get this woman a house, you're going to find her dead in the creek somewhere. I said, we need to get her off the streets. And I tried so darn hard. I went to Anwar, I took her out to Anwar, got her signed up. They didn't cope with the situation very well. The caseworker came out, and on their first meeting with this lady, suggested to her that she get a mental health plan and go and see a doctor because she had psychiatric issues. Now, that's just so unprofessional, and somebody that doesn't know their job. You need to actually form a relationship and a connection and a bond with somebody and get to know them a little bit before you start delving into things like that. You certainly don't do that at a first meeting. So what this woman did said, well, you're insulting me. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not having anything to do with you. And she blocked them and said, go away. Wouldn't have any more to do with them, which is fair enough. So I've been supporting her in every way I can over the last 18 months. She's lost about 40 kilo. Her mental health has deteriorated. When I compare to her now to when I first met her, it absolutely breaks my heart, because she now has been diagnosed with a serious psychotic disorder called anorexia nervosa. And I don't know if any of you have had experience with anorexia before, but it is an absolutely lethal disease that you die of. And she's been given less than 2 years to live, and she's living on the streets. I can see her fading away. I can see her hair falling out. I can see her deterioration psychologically. She's having psychotic episodes, and council want to move her on because residents are complaining. So I'm dealing with that at the moment, and I've Tea Tree Gully Council are handling this really well and with compassion, thankfully, and are trying to do the best they can and keep residents happy at the same time, which is not an easy thing to do. And this is why I ask residents to be compassionate before they pick up the phone and ring council and trying to cause trouble for homeless people, because their tents and their little area, their little patch along the creek is the only thing that they have, and their little, place that they know. So to keep moving them on all the time is not okay, because all you're doing is shifting the problem. We need to actually get people housed. We need to get them off the street and get them help and get them housed. But there's so many breakdowns in the system. There's so much that isn't working, that people are slipping through the cracks. People aren't getting the help that they deserve in a timely manner. And this woman in the last 18 months has deteriorated so dramatically, and is not the same woman that I met 18 months ago. And I blame the government for her now being in a situation where she's now dying. Her GP has said, you've got maximum 2 years to live. I blame the government for that, because had they given me a house for her in the first place, and when I asked for it on 3 separate occasions and asked for them to help this lady, we wouldn't be here today. She wouldn't be going through this stuff. And I don't know now if she can be helped at all, because anorexia, I know I've had a friend that had anorexia when I was a kid, and that's very, very hard to come back from. So I don't know whether we're going to be able to help her, whether she's going to end up, maybe in a psychiatric unit, or whether she's just going to die on the streets, because these people start to self-medicate when they're on the streets and start experimenting with drugs, because, it's a survival technique. It helps them survive. It's a very dangerous place out on the streets. There's lots of dangerous people out there. So if you're living in a tent, you are vulnerable, and it's very scary. You are awake all night listening for every single noise that you can hear, wondering if somebody's coming up on your tent to bash you or rape you or whatever, because you don't have a lock and key to keep people out. It's terrifying living in a tent. And of course, if you're not a drug user when you first go out, you soon are, because you've got to learn to survive out there. And the only way to stay awake at night, night after night after night, is to take something to help you do that. So there's a whole psychological process around the drug usage on the street. People aren't just, you're a junkie, and people start out that way, or they might do, or they drug use, like alcohol use, is a coping mechanism for people to forget what they're going through, to escape reality. I always say drug use and alcohol use is not, people aren't addicted to drugs and alcohol, they're addicted to escaping their reality. And that's why people take drugs and alcohol. And when you're out on the street living, it's a terrifying place, and you're so vulnerable. You've got no protection from the outside world, like you have in a house majority of the time. And you have to take drugs out there for survival, because that's the only way that you can keep yourself safe. So before you call people junkies or anything else, just think about it. how you would cope being out there in a tent on your own in the middle of nowhere when you know what's out there, and see how long you last before you actually start climbing the walls, because you're on constant fight or flight. You're on constant alert. You never, ever get to go home, sit down, sit in front of the fire, pour yourself a glass of wine or a coffee and go to a nice warm bed, lock the door, keep the nasties out. You're on constant alert all the time, and the stress that that has on your body is significant, and that's why people die on the streets, because of the elements, the stress that the body goes through is significant. So, you know, there's a lot of psychology around homelessness. There's a lot of psychology around the processes of being homeless, and the longer you're out there, the worse it is. Somebody said to me today, oh, but some people want to be homeless, don't they? And I said, don't be ridiculous. No one prefers to be homeless. No one wants to be homeless. If given a choice, of course they don't want to be homeless. But there's a difference between wanting to be homeless and accepting your lot in life because no one's doing anything to give you any opportunity to be anything different than homelessness. Sometimes for your own sanity, you've just got to accept the fact that this is the way you're going to be. And no one's helping you. There's no opportunities for you to do anything different. So you do what you know, what you do to survive and what you're comfortable with, because there's nothing else for you. There's a difference between that. There's a difference between being on the street for years and years and years and feeling so defeated and so as if you don't exist and so invisible. And this is the thing we've noticed so much with homeless people. We say to them, what is the biggest thing that somebody could do for you when they see you? And they said, say hello. Let us know that we exist. Because too many people ignore homeless people. They give them food and drink and off they go. And they're just ignored as if they don't exist. People want to know that you see them and that you do care and that you just want to say, hi, how you going, mate? And shake the hand or have a little chat, you know, how's the weather or whatever, because homeless people feel as if they are completely invisible, that no one sees them. So little handy hint, next time you see a homeless person, go up and say g'day. Hey, treat them like you would any other person that you've just met. Anything I can do to help you, mate, you know? Have a sit and have a chat. Learn their story. Listen to them. That sense of community is so important because these people are so lonely. It's like being in a fishbowl and have everyone ogling at you, but no one really, and they throw food in, but no one actually really comes up and, you know, wants to interact with you or have that sense of community, which is really important for homeless people to feel like they're part of the community. I mean, it's so extraordinary what we do out there by just taking people food, drink, listening to people and forming a relationship and a bond with these people and letting them know somebody cares is enough sometimes to lift people out of that psychological depression and that pit of misery and say, well, shit, maybe I'm worth it after all. Maybe I'm not this invisible person. This person cares. Maybe I do have a shot. And it can change somebody's life. It's really, really important. And this is why I get so angry, because of the lack of compassion shown by a lot of people working in the homelessness industry, medical industry and housing industry. There's so much lack of compassion. People are just treated like numbers. We need to start seeing people as human beings. We need to actually start helping people as individuals and not just say, well, this is what we have on offer. If you don't like it, bad luck. We're not going to help you. We're going to refuse you help if you don't take this. We need individualised people to be treated as individuals and helped as individuals, because not one size fits all. And this is where the system breaks down and people get through the system. And also there's unrealistic expectations on the government and right through this industry where people are expected to help themselves. And if you can't help themselves, we're not helping you. That mentality has to change, because people will help themselves, but they need that support and assistance majority of the time to get them to want to help themselves, because people don't understand how far down that people get And if it's years and years and years, it's very hard to come up out of there. And usually they've experienced letdown after letdown after letdown after letdown by the system, because they know that people don't care. They're just a number, and people get paid to do their jobs. And it's really, really hard. A lot of these people don't have the cognition, they don't have the ability, they don't have the confidence and to advocate and help themselves. And that's why there's so many people out there on the streets, because there's no one out there helping them. You know, no one out there helping them and saying, look, I'll help you. I'll help you fill out these forms. I'll help you do this. You know, we need a heap of family support workers out there on the streets helping people. You know, there's people out there that need NDIS and are sitting on forms that they don't know how to fill out because they're slipped through the system. No one's helping them. It's like it's survival of the fittest. If you can advocate for yourself, then you get help. If you can't advocate for yourself and you're not capable of doing these things for yourself, you miss out because no one gives a shit. No one's going to help you. And that's what we're facing with the homeless community, with the housing, with everything else. Unless you can advocate and really stand up for yourself and really push, you're not going to get anywhere. And most of these people out here are not capable of doing that. Very few are, because they're spending all their time on survival. Purely survival. Everything they do is out of survival. So the whole system needs to change, and we need to all work to get the system changed. So I don't know what's going to happen with this lady. I'm going to continue to work with her and see if we can try and get her off the streets and try and get her some help. But it's tough because, you know, there's not too many people out there that really, really care enough to say, okay, bugger the policies, bugger this, bugger that, let's help this lady and get what she needs to get her off the street and get her the help that she needs. If you don't fit into a certain box or a certain shape, we're not going to help you. It's pretty bad what's happening out there. And I want people to start understanding a little bit about why things are the way they are and why things happen the way that they do, and who's out there and who needs help and who doesn't, and understand the psychology behind it. Because honestly, you feel like because you're out on the streets and you're homeless, you feel like the biggest failure that's ever lived, and you feel invisible, you feel worthless, you feel helpless, you feel hopeless. I can't even begin to imagine to tell you how it feels to be homeless. And the longer that you're homeless, the deeper down into that mire you sink. Just keep that in mind. Honestly, it's a psychological process, and I can fully understand how people turn to drugs to survive and to keep them awake at night, because to have them on high alert, and they sleep. A lot of them sleep during the day because that's when it's the safest time for them to sleep. So anyway, I hope that some of you get some value out of these videos. I really do, because this is something I'm really passionate about. I really want to get things changed. I really want to get people off the streets and into housing. And if we do that, everybody's going to benefit from that. Residents are going to benefit from that. The people on the streets are going to benefit from that. And we're all going to benefit from that. And as I said, sometimes all it takes is for somebody to stand up and say, I actually do care, and I'm going to help you, and I'm going to follow it through, and I'm going to help you and make sure that you succeed. So I hope that makes sense. I will talk to you again another day about homelessness, because I am passionate about this, and I really want the community to understand the psychology around this, and I really want people to understand that there's so much work to be done out there, and we really need our politicians and these agencies to really look at what they're doing. We need councils to look at what they're doing, because everything needs to change. And I'm grateful that we've got the government we have, but we need to still lobby hard for that change, and make sure that we all lobby hard for that change, because that's how things get changed, when everybody bands together and lobbies. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. Enjoy your long weekend. I'm in the car actually because it was too wet it's pouring with rain here, and it was too wet for me to sit out in the park. And so I thought I'll go out to the car. So hopefully, as I said, hopefully people have learned a little bit from this video, and I'll talk to you again soon. And I'm really hoping I can help this lady. I'm hoping I can there's 3 or 4 people I want houses for straight away. So wish me luck. Get behind me. Hopefully I can get these people off the streets and into housing. I'll be giving it my best shot. And let's go from there. Thank you so much for listening to me. I really appreciate the fact that you are interested and that you listen to me waffle on. And, I simply do it because I care. It's not because I'm wanting to tell people what to do or anything else. It's just because I care, and I want people to have a better understanding of what it's like to be homeless, and what it's like to be a drug user or a alcoholic on the streets, and how terrifying it can be, because there's a lot of evil out there, believe you me, and we are somewhat protected from that in our houses. But please watch the video from the beginning. If anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Chris Adams is on following this. He is an absolute wealth of information on homelessness. He's such a smart, intelligent person that knows so much. So put your questions here. Chris will answer them, or I'll answer them. I must have a question and answer session one day with Chris, and he can give you a lot of insight on what it's like to be homeless as well. I think it's important that people understand. Anyway, I'm going in now to get my electric blanket turned on, and hopefully everyone watches the video from the beginning, and I will talk to you soon, and I'll give you regular updates about the people I'm helping at the moment, and probably do another couple of videos probably later on in the week. Thanks everyone. Appreciate you listening. Bye for now.